Steph Curry will turn 37 years old. Klay Thompson is on his way out of town. Draymond Green is a shell of himself. The young pieces aren't developed enough. Yeah, now it's time we officially establish that the Warriors dynasty is over for good. Wait, huh? It can't be. So, you're telling me there's actually a way? Realistically speaking, the Warriors will never return to the glory they once went through in the mid to late 2010s. But what if I told you there was one last resort for the Warriors to close out this dynasty on a high note? Sounds insane, right? Trust me, you haven't even remotely heard anything just yet. After back-to-back seasons winning under 50 games and suffering early playoff exits, it's now come time that the Warriors stop, look in the mirror, and think long and hard about what they need to do to compete moving forward. Let's not kid ourselves. There's one reason why the Warriors are both feeling the pressure of the world and still seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. That reason is none other than Wardell Steph Curry. And before I go any further, let us take a moment to appreciate the absolutely masterful season Steph put together once again. At 36 years old, Steph averaged 26, 5, and 4 on 45% from the floor, 41 from 3, and ranked second in NBA in free throw percentage at 92. And yet again, his advanced metrics reflect a guy that's closer to 26 than 36. I mean, how about finishing 6th in the entire NBA in offensive box plus minus? How about leading the NBA with nearly 360 made three-pointers on the season? That was his highest mark since the 2020-2021 season. By all accounts, Steph Curry is nowhere close to slowing down, nor does he look like he's even had the thought of retirement come anywhere near mind. But ironically enough, this is why the Warriors are facing a load of pressure entering this offseason and into the 2025 NBA season. Picture this. The Warriors missed the 2024 NBA postseason by a mile. The young players look terrible. Oh, and what's even more depressing is that the ex-unanimous MVP, Steph Curry, finishes the season averaging 13 and 4 while looking like the average 36-year-old in NBA history. If this was the case, now there is no pressure. The face of your franchise is old and washed, which means there is no hard decision to make. You just accept the end has come and you work tirelessly to develop the young talent on your team and build through the draft. But since Steph Curry is still hands down an elite superstar player, this forces the Warriors to make win-now moves and make the best use of the remaining time Steph Curry is at the top of his game. Are you seeing where I'm headed with this? The good news is the Warriors have some quality depth, which also means that they have some valuable assets and some leeway to make some groundbreaking moves. Something they failed to do just one summer ago. See, after winning under 50 games in 2023, the Warriors dumped Jordan Poole for a guy in CP3 who never quite fit in the Warriors system all season. Instead of going for big-time help and using some of those young pieces to bring in a star, for whatever reason, the Warriors thought they could get by with simply adding an older, injury-prone point guard in CP3. But I think we can all agree that the Warriors learned that this wasn't the right move and that this offseason needs to be a completely different story. Now, speaking of the offseason, here's some of the potentially huge things that could take shape for the Dubs. Let's begin with the more obvious. For the first time since 2011, we may be on the verge of no more Splash Brothers. Man, I don't know if I'm ready for that to happen, but my goodness, we just might have seen the last of Klay in a Warriors jersey. Low-key sad. But what needs to be said about Klay Thompson that hasn't been said about him already? He had his worst season ever. He was a physical and emotional wreck in the play-in tournament. Bad, bad, bad. I mean, I won't belabor this point because I've already made an entire video on Klay's potential exit, which you can watch after this video. But with the departure of Klay will inevitably come room and the need for a big-time offseason move for the Warriors. Yeah, I know I'm a little emotional about the Splash Bros disbanding, but the chances of me having a nostalgic breakdown goes out the window when I think of Steph Curry teaming up with his boy LBJ to finish off their careers in the most storybook way ever. Man, oh man. Would the NBA get set on fire or what if LeBron and Steph became teammates? Look, let me just lay out the reason why this is so possible and why the Warriors would be right back in business if this were to happen. Firstly, we are all aware that LeBron has a ton of decisions to make, from his career to playing with his son, when and where Bronny will get drafted, and how LeBron wants to give himself another shot at winning a 5th championship. LeBron has a decision to make. We know he's been on record for years saying how much he would love to play with Steph Curry. Come on, LeBron is towards the end of his career. At this point, what does he have to lose by saying, you know what, F it, let me join my boy Steph? The best part is, LeBron would become a free agent if he decides to opt out of his contract, meaning that the Warriors wouldn't even need to sacrifice any young pieces like Pods, Kuminga, Trace Jackson-Davis, you name them. And I know we basically kicked Klay to the curb already in this video, but if LeBron comes knocking, you can just keep Klay as another lethal shooter besides LeBron, making one terrifying offense that the NBA would be scrambling to figure out how to stop. On the flip side, the Warriors, just like LeBron, are very interested in a potential pairing. I mean, do we remember just 3 months back when the Warriors seriously tried snagging LeBron out of LA via trade to pair with Steph Curry? If Golden State's front office was willing to pull off something crazy like that during the season, what makes you think they won't try again in the summer, especially now that they wouldn't have to give up any pieces in order to bring LeBron into town? So from a logistical standpoint, this all makes sense for both LBJ and the Warriors. But it gets a whole lot more interesting when you consider what this move for the Warriors would mean on the court. Let's face it, Steph Curry hasn't had a bona fide superstar teammate since the departure of Kevin Durant 5 years ago. Winning that title in 2022 was just a testament to Steph's greatness. But with LeBron still very much one of the best players in the NBA, even now that he's cut his scoring down in favor of distributing, a player like Steph Curry is exactly what the doctor ordered for LBJ. And with as great of a passer as LeBron is, and with Steph Curry continuing to shoot three-pointers at an impossibly great mark, imagine the damage these two together would inflict on the entire NBA. LeBron has already made history as the first player ever to be top 5 in both scoring and assists all time, but his assists that result in three-pointers made are especially impressive. Over his 21 years playing in the NBA, LeBron has far and away the most assists coming off three-pointers made ever with around 3,600. Just imagine what this number could catapult up to if you give LeBron a year or two of Steph Curry as his teammate. It wouldn't be fair. The closest such scenario I can think of throughout all of NBA history as far as firepower and raw talent is Shaq and Kobe as teammates for those 8 years in LA. LeBron and Steph would rival the duo of Shaq and Kobe as the most skilled and dynamic duo since Kobe and Shaq. At 7'1" and 300 pounds with the ability to insane quickness, Shaq was a terror inside while Kobe would operate from the perimeter, particularly the mid-range, by far the best interior duo I think we've ever seen. You couldn't double Shaq because Kobe was as pure of a jump shooter as we've seen. You couldn't double Kobe because Shaq was physically overpowering. If I have LeBron, who's still one of the quickest and overpowering players in the NBA, coming downhill and being able to see the floor the way he can, who are you stopping? LeBron attacking the rim or Steph from the three-point line? And how fitting would it be that both LeBron and Steph, both being from Akron and now the two faces of the NBA, each won their 5th NBA championship as teammates? After all those finals battles and epic postseason games, after they both won at the expense of one another, this would make for some amazing theater for the NBA, unlike anything we've seen before. But the bottom line is this: the Warriors need superstar talent. By not pulling the trigger on a big move, the Warriors would literally just be throwing away the rest of Steph Curry's elite years in the NBA. And if you're going to waste time like that, you might as well blow up the entire roster, including Steph. In essence, the Warriors have no choice but to go big or go home. That's the only way to resurrect this crumbling dynasty. Now, can they lure LeBron? What about another big free agent? The long offseason for the Dubs begins now.